Welcome back to my whiskey pick of the week. You know I'm Eric the Whiskey Guy, and as always, as usual, and as expected, oh, do I have a treat for you this week. This week, we're going to take a little trip. We're going to cross the pond, and we're going to land in Scotland. Yes, ladies and gentlemen, this week we're going to be trying some Scotch whiskey, the Dewars, and not only are we going to be trying their 12-year, we're also going to sample the 15 as well as the 18. So I am excited for that. I kind of feel like Goldilocks with the three bears. I want to see one is just right. Is this too smooth? Is this one's too harsh? Is this right there in the middle? Is this my sweet spot when it comes to some whiskey from Scotland? So I'm ready. Now, to give you guys a little bit of history. Now, Dewar's, they've been around for a while. Now, Scotch whiskey as a whole been around for almost 400 years. So it's one of those OGs. They've been supplying to the Scots for many years. The country itself is probably about the size of South Carolina, and they came up with a product that is well known throughout the world. And when it comes to United States, Scotch kind of hit what I would like to call like a unique gray area. It targeted, and not on purpose, but it targeted and actually marketed and attracted, let's say, the upper class, that 20% of the United States that never really hit like the middle class, the blue collars, as much as they would like. And I'm gonna kind of go into how they fell into that. But when you think of whiskey, you think of big money. You think of people getting promotions at work. That's when they pull out the glasses and give you Scotch. But at the end of the day, it's just their version of Jack Daniels. Like, it doesn't really have to be set at a high standard. I know, for example, and from experience, that it's very, very smooth. I never had a Scotch that I was like, what is this? But I haven't really had too many. And with that being said, it's kind of like just address why it really didn't take off probably in the United States. Now, Scotch has been around for like 400 years, but it really started taking off around the same time that bourbon and Tennessee whiskey took off here in the late 1950s. And one reason why I think it really didn't take off is when you go in there, if you go in the store, go to the bars, you can't really pronounce half of their bottles. Like, their bottles got names where you, like, if you at the bar and you like, hey, let me get a shot of the Thule Tanner Bar and the Glenderdick. Like, it's just words that you can't really pronounce. And I know today it's easier, but back in the 1850s, I know they were stumbling, and it's not a coincidence that the most popular Scotch in the United States would be Johnny Walker, something simple. So I'm gonna see exactly how it is. Now, to give you a little insight on this company, the Dewars, they started, like I said, around the 1850s. You had two brothers. You had John and Tommy. John, he pretty much overseed the distillery that was in Scotland, and Tommy kind of ventured off. Now, to kind of give you an idea of the area that we're talking about, Scotland is about the size of South Carolina. So pretty much the older brother, John, he pretty much took care of Scotland, so South Carolina. Tommy wanted to branch off and go to the big city, so he headed over to London. So in England, London, let's say it's probably we'll say that's Atlanta. Now, if you know anything about history, you know the Scots and the Englishmen never get along. So for him to even set up shop there, I knew he was on to something. And when he went over there, he opened up a pub. It's still like in the 1850s, late 1800s. He opened up a pub. and he had pretty much like live music, like bagpipes. Everybody in England was complaining, but the more they complained, the more people wanted to know what was going on. So he attracted people off of live music, even though it may have probably sounded annoying at the time. He did his thing. Also, Tommy was probably one of the first people that really talk about, or this company is the first one that talks about how their founders really emphasized on marketing and sales. He would go to other pubs, he'll order his drink, his Dewars. If they didn't have it, he'd send a salesman in the next day. So he was really on that. He had one saying: if you can't advertise, you gotta falsify. And what he did was, every time a president from the United States came over to England to see the Queen or the King or whoever, but the Queen at that time, he'd gift them a bottle of Dewars. So after a couple presidents came, the press, they pretty much deemed this the official whiskey of the White House. Now, he never said that. The press in England did it. So when news got over to the United States, everybody jumped on board, because they was like, if that's what they partying in the White House, that's what we want to drink. Now, in the late 1800s, everybody wasn't reading the Socialites Digest that was in the newspaper. So you had just a few people, but you had the top people. You had people that had money that wanted to jump on board with what the White House was drinking. And then Tommy, he went on a tour. He went from Scotland to New York. He went to DC. He went to the New England area, Chicago, San Francisco, just pretty much promoting his bottle. So we already in the United States kind of looked at him kind of like an ambassador of Scotland, you know, the man with the Scotch. So him coming over just kind of put him to another level. And then while he was on the tour, he ended up going out to Australia. He went to Japan. He just hit every spot. He literally went around the world promoting his Scotch. So I want to see if it's up to that standard that people kind of put the Scotch in. Now this is the 12 year. That means it's just been aged for 12 years. This is probably about let's say this is like a $40 bottle. It's a $40. Or we'll say $35 bottle. It's smooth and it's potent. Now, one thing about Scotch, I don't know if it's just me, but every time I smell Scotch, it always tastes like or smells like butterscotch. Every time, it never fails. Like every time I do it, like, oh, I just get like a butterscotch taste to it. I don't know if that's what's in it. I doubt it. But it just has that unique taste, and I think I noticed that way back when I was like 21. I was like, nah, I'm good on that. But now that I'm getting older, this is definitely something that you can sip on. I give it a good grade. Now this is still like your normal everyday Scotch. You're not gonna go overboard on the price, even though they can get up there. This is probably one of the entry levels, the lower levels, around that $30 mark. They can get up to, you can get up in bottles that's $500, $2,500, $5,000, and even up more when you go to Scotch, because they age them for so long. But this is definitely a good one. And they start drinking this at an early age over there. I think I watched the video, and I I say like the interview was probably about 3 years ago, but how they talked, the people sounded like they were back in like 1930s, 1940s, and just how they was just talking, you would think that it was just so many years ago. They talk about how when they were little, how the grandparents used to give them toddies, hot toddies, when they were 6 and 7. So people in Scotland, they were drinking early. Now this one lady, and this blew my mind. This one lady, they interviewed this one lady. She sounded like she was 80 years old. She was like, "Oh yeah, me grandma used to give me a little baby drum when I was 8 years old." And I was like, "Oh my God, what year is this? Like 1930?" And she was like, "Yeah, her favorite was Macallan's." So I was like, "Oh, she has good taste." And she was like, "Yeah, it was back in like 1978. I was like, 1978 when she was 8? I was like, this 80-year-old lady is 10 years older than me. So they was drinking early. But I see why. This is smooth. You throw this in a little tea. Oh, you got NyQuil all day. Now that's the 12. Now, let's see how the 15 is. Now with Scotch, in order for it to be Scotch, it has to be aged for at least 3 years to even be considered Scotch. So just think about it. This bottle sat for 12, this one sat for 3 more years, so it went through the whole aging process pretty much one more time. I'm gonna go light on this one because I don't really have too much. I might want to keep my little airplane bottles. So this is the 15. Now what I noticed, it doesn't have that overwhelming butterscotch smell to it. It's a little bit stronger, but you still got a smoothness. Now the 15, this will be like your $45 bottle. Now as far as the 15 and the 12, it's really not a big difference. So that's probably why the price is where it's at. This is starting to smell more like American whiskey. It's starting to get there. As far as just the smell. Now the smoothness is pretty much Scotch smooth. Now as of now, I would probably go with the 15 just because you're only paying 10 more dollars. So I like the 12. The 15 is okay. Now the 18, now you jumping up from a $45 bottle to an $85, $90 bottle. So you're almost doubling when it comes to the 18. Let's see if it's worth double than these. Smells good. Smells good. It doesn't have that. It's just, now this some gas right here. Now the 18 isn't really that far off from the 15. So I think the 15 is right. This gonna be your best bet, the 15. The 15 of $45. I don't really see paying $85, $90 for the 18 when you getting pretty much the same thing with the 15. It's a little bit of difference, but it's not enough to basically justify paying double. Because if you get this, you can get 2 of these, and you'll be just fine with this one. So out of all 3, I like the 12. The 12 is a good one. Now, in some cases, you may go to the store where they only got the 12. Because not only is this the 12 year, they also got what they call a white label. Like kind of like how Johnny got his how he got his black labels, green labels, blue labels. They got a white label. I believe they were the ones that first started this, the white label. The white label pretty much is gonna be a step under this one. But that's probably like a $5. It's probably like $5 less. So if you had to choose, go with the 12. Now, if they got the 15, because they may not have a 15 in every place, get a 15 if you see it. 18, don't even worry about that. I wouldn't even worry about that. 15 is good. You may not find it. You may. Or get the 12. Get the 12 over the regular white label. I would recommend that. So, hey, man, this is my week. And we're going to do it all again. This is the pick that I'm going to do. I'm going to say the Dewar's 15. Y'all have a wonderful day.